just when I was beginning to worry Throwback Weekend had run its course. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. When I rolled out of bed this morning, I was worried about the future of NASCAR Throwback Weekend. Darlington, just 9 days away. And as of this morning, only 4 Cup Series throwback schemes had been revealed, and one of them doesn't really count. Last season, I counted 25 throwback schemes on the grid. So what's the delay? Maybe Throwback Weekend has finally run its course. Fortunately, a couple of teams made big announcements today, restoring my faith in this great modern NASCAR tradition. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Also, Ryan Vargas, former NASCAR Xfinity Series driver, stops by the show in the second half. He'll tell us about his experience racing in the NASCAR Euro Series last year, and he'll talk some about his plans to race in Canada this season. Vargas, longtime friend of the show, hope you'll stay tuned. Ryan Vargas joins us in the second half. But back to Throwback Weekend. Like I said, one of my favorite modern NASCAR traditions. Throwback Weekend has been a thing now for nearly a decade. And I love that it gives this spring Darlington date its own identity. It's no longer just the Southern 500's little brother. Historic venue, Throwback Weekend gives it its own flair. I love Throwback Weekend and would hate to see it die out. But like I said this morning, I was worried. I go online and it seemed like the Xfinity Series was carrying Throwback Weekend. Carson Kvapil and Bass Pro Shops with this Jamie McMurray throwback to when he won the 2010 Daytona 500 and Brickyard 400 looks great, instantly recognizable. The boxy Xfinity Series car actually matches the 2010 COT pretty well, so at first glance, this is almost a one-to-one exact replica. JRM has unveiled some good throwbacks. The 3 doors down reference here, just missing that white stripe on the bumper, but otherwise I love it. And I love that WeatherTech was willing to change the angle of their hood logo to more closely match the Buddy Baker scheme they're throwing it back to. The door number, though, that's the star of the show here. That looks great. Oh my gosh, and Joe Gibbs Racing and William Sawalich are throwing it back to Kyle Busch, his 2016 Xfinity Series car. I looked it back up. Kyle Busch won 10 out of 17 Xfinity Series races he started that season. This paint scheme made the Xfinity Series almost unwatchable for most of the year. Kyle Busch used to stink up the show. Love seeing the NOS Energy homage in the modern day. Oh, but Alpha Prime Racing, once again, this is Parker Retzlaff. Ryan Pistana, designer for Alpha Prime, won the Throwback Weekend Award last season for his work on Brennan Poole's Hot Wheels throwback. The Kodak colors return to the 4-car. This is incredible. Well done. The Xfinity Series, restoring my faith in NASCAR Throwback Weekend. It's not dead yet, but the Cup Series garage still has some work to do. This is a very disappointing start. When I first saw this graphic with Ken Schrader's name listed, I was extremely confused. Granted, I have some gaps in my NASCAR history knowledge banks, but I did not recognize this scheme whatsoever. Then I saw the Schrader scheme this is supposedly referencing, and I was relieved to find that I'm not the problem, UniFirst is. How can you mess this up that badly? Obviously, UniFirst, their colors are mainly green, so they wanted to throw back to a mostly green scheme. But like, the original scheme had that lime green stripe and muted door number. UniFirst decided to swap those colors. And then they saw the dark green base on the back and said, no, how about we make that a flat, boring gray? Whoa, all the colors were right there for you to play with, and you played with them all wrong. I don't know which is worse, this posing as a Ken Schrader throwback, or when Tide tried to pass this off as a Ricky Craven tribute. I don't understand how you could be this far off when your brand colors mostly match the scheme you're throwing it back to. Come on, UniFirst. You know what? I wasn't gonna do this, but now I'm gonna turn this into a rankings video just so I can put this scheme at the bottom. That'll teach him. Let's move on because we've got some good Cup Series throwbacks to look at. Nice to see Team Penske participating after sitting out Throwback Weekend last year. Freightliner on the 2 with the old school yellow and blue Dale Earnhardt colors. I love that they changed the door number font to match. Will take some getting used to seeing those colors on a Ford Mustang, but I like it. I'd criticize the poor use of the door space, but the original scheme had a lot of blank space as well, so this is more historically accurate. Talked about this one already, but Josh Berry, the Wood brothers, throwing it back to Team Lotus and their 1965 Indianapolis 500 win. The Wood brothers were on the pit crew. An interesting story, a very unique part of the Wood brothers' racing history, and the livery looks great. The colors, the design, very recognizable, well done, well executed. I know it's another Jeff Gordon throwback, but at least this is a scheme we haven't seen in a while. Jeff Gordon's final ride in the 24 car, 2015 Homestead Miami Speedway. He was racing for a championship. I hope the silvery base is as polished and reflective in real life as it appears to be in this render. I know it's not the most original, but it is celebrating the 10-year anniversary of Jeff's final race in the 24 car, so that's cool. Hey, how about Joe Gibbs Racing? Danny Hamlin and Sport Clips are throwing it back to Carl Edwards, his early days at Roush Racing in the Office Depot colors. Good timing, as Carl was just inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame. This design holds up really well. Like, this could pass for a modern day Sport Clips scheme, frankly. Good stuff, well done. Oh, finally. One of the first die-cast cars I had in my collection was Terry Labonte's 2003 Kellogg's Chevrolet. Kyle Larson and Hendrick Motorsports are bringing it back. Got cars? That's a nice detail. Love that. The tiger stripes on the door are back. The cornflakes scheme last season was the precursor. I knew they had to bring back the tiger stripes eventually. Well done, well executed. Beautiful. Definitely my favorite of the bunch so far. So other than the UniFirst abomination, at least the few Cup throwbacks we've seen have all been really well done in my opinion. Recognizable, about as accurate as you could be depending on sponsorship. I still feel like overall the Xfinity Series is carrying Throwback Weekend right now, but the Cup Series teams that have participated so far have mostly done a really good job. Like I said earlier, Throwback Weekend is one of my favorite modern NASCAR traditions. But I get it can be really hard to get the teams, more importantly the sponsors, to literally buy in. Companies pay upwards of $100,000, close to $500,000 per weekend to sponsor the top Cup Series teams. I don't care who you are, that's a ton of money. You're spending that kind of dough, you want the scheme to represent your brand, your colors. You want it to be recognizable. Getting these major corporations and their chief marketing officers to buy into Throwback Weekend is a tall task. It's a miracle sometimes that these kinds of throwback schemes happen in the first place. I get that it's hard. That's why I don't really hold it over any teams that don't participate in Throwback Weekend. But when companies do participate in Throwback Weekend and do it well, fans show them love. It's a great opportunity to get some extra attention on race weekend. So hopefully that leads to more companies, more teams participating year in, year out. Like I said, Throwback Weekend gives Spring Darlington its own identity. The Southern 500 is a crown jewel, just like the Daytona 500 is a crown jewel. Yes, there's another Daytona race, the Coke Zero Sugar 400, but that's a playoff cutoff race or a regular season cutoff race. So much at stake, has its own feel. Charlotte, Coke 600 obviously is a crown jewel. Their second race is a road course. And the Brickyard, of course, has no second date. So Darlington needs the spring date to feel different than the fall Southern 500. Throwback Weekend accomplishes that. I hope teams continue to participate. I hope fans continue to show love and support. I'm more of a windshield guy than rearview mirror guy. I'm usually more focused on what's going to happen next. Where is the sport heading? But this is a great weekend to pause, reflect, remember, honor some of the historic drivers and teams that built the foundation of stock car racing over the past 75 plus years. So love Throwback Weekend. Hope teams continue to participate. Got some good ones so far. Let me know which your favorite throwback scheme you've seen is down in the comment section below. But now let's bring Ryan Vargas onto the show. Trucks, Xfinity, more recently Europe, now Canada. Let's hear what Ryan Vargas has going on here in 2025. I'm now joined by Ryan Vargas, longtime friend of the show. Ryan, it's great to see you. I know you made a huge announcement earlier this week, but I first want to ask you about last season because we haven't talked in a while. You ran the full Euro NASCAR schedule last year. Tell me about that experience, man. How did that compare to your time racing here in the States and in trucks and Xfinity?
Man, it was probably one of the most neat experiences of my life. Going to places like Spain, Italy, Germany, Belgium, even ran an oval in the Netherlands. Like
Wow.
it's just such a crazy race, crazy season, crazy experience, right? Because it's still NASCAR, it's still stock cars, but we're just in these crazy foreign areas, and well, foreign to me at least. And it's just the biggest thing that I've been able to take away from the whole experience was, it opened my, broadened my mind in terms of what's out there for racing. I was able to check out a lot of different racing series, see a little bunch of different racers and people from different backgrounds, and it made me really excited, kind of about all this stuff because when you're here in the States and you're kind of doing the ARCA Truck Xfinity Cup ladder, it's like, all right, this and that, but last year was my idea was let's break that mold, let's go to Europe for a year, let's go have fun and put the resources we need to go out and compete. And we had some strong efforts. Obviously there's things I would like to do different, as anyone does at the end of the season, right? But to finish the season top 10, get a couple points, get a couple podiums, win in my category. I got a win in my category on a road course, which is like awesome.
Wow.
I'm a road course guy by trade. Just overall really stoked, and it was a pleasure to have all Critical Path Security and all the amazing partners that hopped on with us for that campaign.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, now I guess you're back in North America this season. Just
Kind of.
announced, yeah, you're just announced you're running the Canada, the NASCAR Canada series this year with DJ Kennington. Tell me about this opportunity. How'd this come together? What are you most looking forward to?
Yeah, so this all really came together over a Zoom call. I was talking with my friends at Critical Path Security, and we were going over the year, right? We talked about Canada. I'm sorry, we talked about Euro Series, and we loved it. We had an absolutely phenomenal time. Jerome and they put on a fantastic series over there, and we looked at the year, and it was like, all right, well, what's the next step? What's the next big thing for us, right? We did Euro, that was a lot of fun, but we want to kind of try and keep it a little bit closer to home. Um, and that's when we immediately kind of looked at Canada. Um, I knew exactly who I needed to call. DJ Kennington was my first call, and we landed that, which is always great when when your first option is the one that you end up with. So that was a really cool opportunity, especially getting to meet DJ and talk to him in person, and learn more about him and his team. It's just a really, really incredible opportunity to go out there, and everyone knows who DJ is, right? He ran, in Xfinity, ran in Cup, multi-time champion in the NASCAR Canada Series, and his equipment is top notch. So for me, I look at this as an opportunity to go out there and push hard for, you know, try and go for wins, try and go for top fives, push as hard as I can because, for me, it's a whole new thing. It's a whole new series. It's going to be a challenge. I'm not going over there expecting to, you know, clean house or anything because I can't. You can never do that in racing. But, you know, this is definitely one of the best opportunities I've had in racing. And I couldn't be more excited, honestly.
Yeah, well, I kind of wanted to ask you about that because, well, one, I wasn't sure if have you ever run a Canada Series race before? Okay, well, that answers the first part of my question. But yeah, because it's DJ Kennington and we know the weight his name has, it carries over there. We know his success, obviously, north of the border. I was going to ask you about that. Like, how competitive is this opportunity and what makes you most excited about racing with this team this year?
I mean, yeah, I get to drive a Dodge, right? We saw the zombie Dodge, I guess you could say, with Timmy Hill and Carl Long for the longest time there. But no, it's really really cool to kind of just get to hop in a different manufacturer now. I think I've driven four different manufacturers now because I've driven a Toyota, a Ford, and now a Chevy, and now a Dodge. So really excited about that. But getting to work with DJ, I mean, like I said, everybody understands the impact that he and his team have had in the NASCAR Canada Series, and his reach has expanded beyond the Canadian border. And it's just exciting, right? Everybody respects him, and everybody, sees, looks at him as the guy for the series. And I hit on it earlier, but it's a really good feeling when the first call you make is the call that works out. DJ's been an absolute pleasure to work with. Getting this all scheduled, it's been a little bit chaotic behind the scenes, getting things put together, as any business deal can sometimes get in racing. But nonetheless, it's been a pleasure to work with him so far leading into the season. I'm supposed to catch him here pretty soon, and trying to plan a trip up to his shop to kind of at least check out the cars and see them all, because I know I got some pretty nice pieces up there. That's the best thing too, is just some of the nicest equipment I've had in racing is going to be this year. So very excited about that.
That's awesome, man. Well, I'm really excited for you. I've known you obviously for a long time, seen your path on the American side, of course. Awesome to see you have fun, have success in Europe, now trying out the NASCAR Canada Series. Sounds like a great opportunity. While I have you here, before I let you go, you have an interesting perspective that at least I don't have. There's a lot of talk stateside about bringing the Cup and Xfinity Series international. Obviously, Mexico City was added to the Cup and Xfinity schedule this year. There's talks of going to Montreal, of course, Brazil, maybe. Racing in Europe, and I guess you'll see some racing in Canada this year. What is the appetite, would you say, for NASCAR stock car racing overseas?
I think the appetite is there. I think it's absolutely there is a hunger for NASCAR overseas, internationally. Every race I went to on the NASCAR Euro Series schedule, it was packed. There was so many people there. I know the Czech Republic, they saw like 20,000 people there, something like that. Brands Hatch saw 55,000 people across the 2 days that were there. And I could tell you, it looked like a NASCAR event. It was packed. There was so many people there. The race at Venray Oval in the Netherlands, that place was slam packed. So the appetite's there, and nonetheless, there's people showing up with my diecast, and
Wow.
Somehow they got some of my Xfinity hero cards sent over there, and they brought them to me in the autograph session. And I'm like, how the heck did you get this? But it's just really interesting to me because they keep up with racing. Everyone out there, they keep up with NASCAR. They love NASCAR. They're rooting for Kyle Larson, and they're booing Kyle Busch. It's they love it just as much as the fans here do. And same thing with the Germany race that we went to. There's people camping. There was tailgating. There was
Okay.
food vendors and diecast vendors and stuff. We have the fan tents here at the races here in the States. That's there too. It's very much a NASCAR market. And I would say, of the tracks that we went to on the NASCAR Euro Series side, honestly, I'd say 3 or 4 of them could host a Cup Series event next year.
Wow, yeah.
I think the facilities are there. My Brands Hatch, Valencia, absolutely. I know they just got affected with the recent storms there last year, but I know they made some already some quick repairs, so incredible stuff there. And I know the Euro Series is about to kick off their season there. Fantastic facility. The grandstands wrap from the front stretch all the way around to the back stretch there. So it's like
Wow.
Bristol, kind of, but with a road course in the middle of it. So the appetite's there, and I think there's facilities there that could absolutely handle it.
Yeah, that's great to hear. It'll be really interesting to see if the NASCAR Cup Series goes that route here in the coming years. But Ryan, it's awesome to see what you're doing this season north of the border in the NASCAR Canada Series. Thanks for stopping by here, sharing a little bit about your Europe experience, what's to come. I'm sure fans will be watching and cheering you on all season long. Appreciate your time, man.
No, absolutely. Thank you for having me. Pretty stoked for this year. It'll be fun.
Great to have Ryan Vargas on the show once again. Thank you for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more NASCAR content and commentary every single week. We talk NASCAR all year long. You can count on it. Tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, I will be streaming live with the Iceberg, Danny B, Break Card. We'll talk Homestead. We'll talk Martinsville. Everything in between. Hope you'll come hang out with us. 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Hope to see you there. Thanks for watching, folks. I'll talk with you again real soon.